a lot to get to. Remember Prop 8 and the defense of marriage in California? Well, here's another idea. Let's ban divorce. Activist John Marcotte is pushing for a new ballot measure in California, one to ban divorce. It is somewhat of a satirical statement. Nationwide, about half of all marriages end in divorce. They need a little under 700,000 valid signatures, which is a pretty high hurdle in a state where the typical petition drive costs millions of dollars. Even if the proposed constitutional amendment makes next year's ballot, it's pretty unlikely that this is going to be passed by voters, is it not? And not to mention that, I mean, banning gay marriage and banning divorce, they're not really related, are they?
No, I guess not. I'd say it'd probably have a very hard time passing, but you never know.
Absolutely. The Family Research Council, a homosexuality-obsessed right-wing group, is trying to freak people out. In their latest, the group is striking out against the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, which has been introduced in both the House and Senate. The legislation says very simply, you can't fire, refuse to hire, or refuse to promote someone simply because they're gay. Now, they could be gay, and there might be other reasons not to do any of those things. That's different. That's not what's being addressed here. The Family Research Council sent out a fundraising letter last week saying, President Obama wants to, and this is a quote, impose homosexuality and silence Christianity in workplaces. They also somehow extrapolated you can't fire someone for being gay into an employer is telling you to remove the Bible from your desk because it's offensive to someone who's homosexual or a cross-dresser. The Family Research Council coming completely unhinged and no surprise, and a completely extreme radical group that is presented as being pro-family on many right-wing talk shows and blogs.
We can count the number of groups exactly like this.
Absolutely. Copenhagen Climate Conference is going on right now up until December 18th. The normal questions are being asked by those who oppose being careful about the environment, including, what's the most common one, Lewis? Is global warming real? Is it man-made? Is it a problem? Do we really need to spend time or money on this? Now, the pro-global warming movement, which some call science, has taken a little bit of a hit over the last couple of months because there have been a number of accusations that some data saying the country has or the world has actually cooled over the last decade have been hidden and not used. And if it's determined for sure that that's true, it is going to hurt. It's going to foment those that argue this is not something we should be worried about, whether it is or isn't. And I would like to look at the data in detail. The accusation is that some of that information is being hidden. Here's the CEO of the Center for American Progress, John Podesta, previewing this Copenhagen climate conference.
So it's clear that climate change is accelerating, that we need to deal with it, that this opportunity in Copenhagen provides an opportunity to get not just our country, but countries around the globe, including the new emitters, China, India, and others, engaged in the kinds of policies that will be necessary to get the planet on a sustainable path that can support economic growth, but do it in a way that's not going to wreck the environment.
Okay, so a long explanation from John Podesta about what will go on at this conference. One interesting thing, Barack Obama rearranging his travel to the conference to be further towards the end to, I guess, try to be more effective, to reach more people, kind of like the nightcap or keynote speech. We'll see how much attention he gets. We know he got a lot of negative attention lobbying for the Olympics to come to Chicago for going to Copenhagen. Hopefully, people won't be as childish with the climate conference to say it's also a waste of time for him to go there. Of course,
many people will be.
And many people will be acting as if there's no phone on Air Force One. He couldn't do any work if he's involved in this trip.
Right.
Amy Goodman, host of Democracy Now!, which airs on a lot of, I think almost every station we're on, also airs Democracy Now! Amy Goodman was stopped at a Canadian border crossing south of Vancouver a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, questioned for 90 minutes by authorities that were concerned she was coming to Canada to speak against the Olympics. Canada now is getting really paranoid about people speaking out against the Olympics. She was there just to talk about, I believe it was healthcare. Let's actually listen to what she said about her incredible incident where she was interrogated. No evidence she was waterboarded by Canadian officials.
Well, an American journalist is outraged after being detained on the way to Vancouver last night. And once again, Olympic security concerns may be why. Kathy Tomlinson explains.
The host of Democracy Now!
Amy Goodman is well known in alternative media circles. Here to promote a book.
Clearly, he wasn't going to let us go.
She wasn't sure she'd get in.
They took the passports and then said, pull over.
You were flagged right off the bat.
Yeah.
Goodman was grilled at the Peace Arch border Wednesday, asked repeatedly what she'd be talking about.
I said because we have a big health care reform debate going on in the United States. We were looking at Tommy Douglas.
She says they were only interested in what she'd say about the Olympics.
And he was clearly incredulous that I was not going to be talking about the Olympics. He didn't believe me.
Here, she says, her car and laptop were searched.
They took a photograph.
Then she was issued this, which says she must leave Canada Friday.
Okay. Really strange. I mean, Amy Goodman, just kind of funny. It's clearly related. I don't think it's anything against Amy Goodman. It's nothing against liberal media. It's nothing like that. It just seems to be paranoia about the Olympics, is it not?
And why?
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know that there was a big anti-Olympic movement. I mean, I know about the carbon footprint of the Olympics is incredibly huge, and because of that, we don't agree with it. But I didn't know that Canada was so worried about. I mean, it sounds almost like the China, not as far, but when China goes completely crazy about people not talking about a certain thing, to the point where the censorship makes them look worse than just letting people talk. They don't care. In China, they don't care.
It's very strange for Canada to be doing something like this.
It's very weird.
Of all places.
It's to Amy Goodman especially, who is on a ton of stations in Canada.
Right. I mean, but I guess you can't blame one, border agent for not being aware as to Amy Goodman's.
Well, her question about, is this routine? And then them saying, this is what we're doing. Kind of strange.
Yeah.
I don't know.